everybody, welcome to Cameras and Cats. Today we are in Cape Charles, Virginia, and it's like the most beautiful day ever. And today we're going to talk about the KS Super 2 35mm film camera, so stay tuned. This is the camera. It's super cute, and I actually got this camera from my grandma. She gave this to me, and it's in super good condition. I don't even know if it was ever used. The KS Super 2 was produced in like the early 1980s, and it's a Ricoh camera, but it was like released under like the Sears brand, so it's like a Sears camera, which I think is super cool and really weird. It's a pretty basic 35mm camera. It has a 50mm lens with an f2 aperture. That's like the widest aperture it'll go, which is a really good lens. So I was really excited when I found this camera because I was like, this is gonna be awesome. It doesn't have a whole lot of settings on it. There's not a lot of like weird features or anything like that. It's pretty basic, like a really normal like manual 35mm camera. So I mostly keep it in the aperture priority setting, and that way I can set the lens to like f2 or 2.8 or whatever I want. I usually shoot with like a wider aperture because I like the like dreamy kind of surreal look of it. But there is like a flash setting, and then there's like an L, which is like a lock setting. I'll show you guys how to load the film. It's really super basic, very simple, about as basic as you can get for like a manual 35mm camera. You do have to manually wind it in between every frame, which means that you're not usually able to do double exposure. So the only way to do a double exposure is if you push the film release button on the bottom, and you can like wind the film backwards a little bit. So I usually like to try that out with every camera. You can't really get a perfect double exposure. It's just going to be images overlapping. So you push the film release button and then like wind it back, maybe like a turn and a half, and it'll kind of like overlap the frames. There's not a whole lot of other settings on here. It does take a kind of a weird battery. I had to find it on Amazon. I think I found kind of like a replacement battery, but it seems to be working, so that's good. And I'll make sure to include which battery it is so you guys can find it.
We have no idea what the lens is, but it says it's made in Japan, which is a good sign.
Well, yeah, the camera says it's made in Japan, which is usually, yes, a very good sign. And the lens, I believe this is just kind of like a basic lens you can buy with the camera. It just says Lens Japan on it, which is kind of weird. You can also adjust the exposure compensation right here. I usually just leave it on 0. Sometimes I'll stop down a little bit because I like my images darker usually because I do double exposure. So to have it down a little bit helps out if I'm doing like overlapping images. There's also like a little self timer, which I haven't tried this out yet. And it took me forever to figure out how to change the ISO setting. I used a 100 speed film in the camera this time, and I could not figure out how to change the ISO because it's connected to the exposure compensation wheel. So you have to like lift up this little tiny ring and then turn it. Took me forever to figure that out, and I tried to watch a video. I couldn't figure it out still. And you can put a flash on here if you would like, and then you can use this flash setting, which is usually around like 1/125th of a second, but I haven't tried that out either yet. And you can change this lens, but I don't have any other lenses. This is the only one that it came with from my grandma. I have shot 2 rolls of film with this camera so far. but I've only used expired film that was like super duper expired from like the 80s, and they turned out pretty cool, but the film was like very grainy and kind of like weird colors. This is my first roll I've tried out with the camera without it being expired, so I'm excited to see how it turns out. And I used a 100 speed film to try to figure out like exactly how sharp this is and see if it actually takes like super duper sharp images, because I actually love using this camera. It has like a really fun feel to it. It's like very satisfying. Like the click is very satisfying. It's just really fun, and it's a manual focus, so you do have to take the time and focus the images. It's not autofocus. But yeah, it's kind of just like a classic 35mm manual camera. It reminds me of my Nikon FE2, except the FE2 can do very easy double exposures, which is why I love that camera so much. But if you don't really care about doing multiple exposures, then this is like a really fun camera to walk around with. It's like pretty heavy duty and like a nice like kind of metal frame. It came with this really cute strap, which I think is fun. If you see one of these, I would definitely pick it up because it's just fun. It's just like a very easy camera and just satisfying, which is always nice. And it looks cute. It's like got that like, you know, classic vibe. I don't really know what these lumps are for.
For film or something.
It's too big for film.
I don't know, strobes or flashes? I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, but it has like, yeah, that like classic like retro camera vibe, like 80s vibe. And I really like it so far. I'm excited to see how this roll of film turns out. And that will kind of determine whether I like use this all the time or not. Because right now, the Nikon FE2 is kind of like my go-to like manual 35mm camera. So this one, we'll see how it does. But yeah, I'll make sure to share lots of sample photos for you guys so you can see if you want this camera too. And I'll include all the links below in the description for where you can find it, where you can find some film. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and be nice. And oh yeah, make sure to check out my book, which I just recently released, called Temporary Beauty, on Amazon. I'll make sure to include that in the description. It's just about art and meditation and all kinds of stuff. And you can check out my Patreon if you want to see more photos that I don't share anywhere else. And yeah, thanks so much. Have a magical day.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna try to do a double exposure. We'll see what happens. Now this will be a cute picture of me here.
I'm hungry.
Okay, you're gonna take a picture real quick.
I'm hungry.
Come on.
I'm hungry.
Come on. let's go get some beer and food.
Finally.
Can you stop and take a picture of it from right here?
Where?
Leaf blower man again. So yeah, I usually
What the heck?
golf carts in this town.
What the? A wood.
There's another one. These guys.
Oh, vacay.
Weird hair in it. Why does it sound like that? Just because of the shape?
I don't know.
I notice you're an AV technician.
I can't talk about it because everybody will think it's annoying.
Is it because of the shape of the shell and the sound that goes?